Hi, this is topic 2.3, subtracting integers. Today we're going to find the opposite of a signed number. We're going to subtract the integers, and then we're going to add or subtract a series of signed numbers in a row. With signed numbers, we actually change subtraction to addition, and we do this with this concept called add the opposite. We change all our subtraction signs to addition signs, and then the number next door on the right will be changed in its sign too. So in this example, -5 minus +4, we're going to change the subtraction sign to an adding sign. And because we make that change, we need to make an additional change. So the subtraction sign becomes an adding sign, and the +4 next door becomes a -4. And then we follow our adding rules. -5 plus -4 means we add the numbers 5 plus 4, and we keep the sign since they are the same. So we end up with a -9. When you see subtraction using integers, you can think of this very simple memory tool. Think same. The first number stays the same. Change the subtraction to addition, and then change the second integer to its opposite. So let's look at this first one. We have +2 minus +5. So we're going to keep the +2 the same. We're going to change subtraction to adding, and we're going to make the opposite sign of the 5. It was a +5, so now it's going to be a -5. Now we can follow the integer rules for adding. So we have +2 plus -5, which means the signs are different. So we're going to subtract 5 minus 2, but we're going to keep the sign of the larger number. 5 minus 2 is 3, and we're going to keep the negative sign. So the result is -3. For number 2, we're going to use same change opposite again because of the subtraction sign. So we're going to keep -4 the same. We're going to change the minus to a plus sign. And we're going to change the -6 to a +6. Notice that for every time I do this, I'm making 2 pencil strokes. One to change to a plus sign, and the second pencil stroke to change to its opposite. Now I have -4 plus +6. Again, my integer rules for adding tell me that I have subtraction because the signs are different. So the 6 is going to -4, and because the 6 is the higher number, we're going to keep that sign. 6 minus 4 is 2, and that's going to be a +2. So the result here is +2. Let's take a look at when we have multiple numbers to add or subtract, what to do. Notice that the brackets are only used to show the sign of the individual numbers. Later on, or when you write yourself, you can remove those brackets if you find that they're a little bit distracting for you. We're not going to change this first plus sign. We leave that as it is. But every time we see a subtraction sign, we're going to follow that same change opposite principle. So we're going to keep the -5 the same. We're going to change the subtraction to adding, and then the sign next door to the right is going to change to its opposite. So the +3 is going to become a -3. Same thing goes over here. We see a minus sign. We're going to keep the -3 the same, and then we're going to change to adding, and we're going to make that -7 into a +7. We'll change it to its opposite. So now that we've changed all of our subtractions to adding, we can combine our like numbers, the positives with the positives and the negatives with the negatives. So I'm going to combine the 6 and the 7. They're both positive, and that's going to give me a result of +13. And the -5 plus -3 gives me a result of -8. And from there I can rewrite 13 plus -8. And now the integer rules for adding change because the signs are different. I have a positive 13 plus a negative 8, which means I have to take subtraction and keep the sign of the higher number. 13 minus 8 is 5, and that's going to be a positive 5. For the fourth example, we can see that you have a plus sign right in the middle. That's going to stay just as it is, but for all our subtractions, we're going to change them. So same, change, opposite. Same, change, opposite. And now we can combine the ones that are the same. We have negative 4, negative 14, negative 5. We can combine those three just by adding the integers. So negative 4 plus negative 14 is negative 18, plus negative 5 is negative 23. And then we have one positive number. So I'm going to rewrite below. Negative 23 plus positive 2 means I'm going to subtract as the integers are different signs. And that's going to give me 21. And because the larger number was negative, my answer will also be negative. And if you think about it in terms of money, negative 23, if you're down 23 in your bank account and you deposit $2, you're going to be at negative 21. For the do together section, we're going to try using same, change, opposite. And remember, if you find that the brackets are distracting, you can always rewrite below. So I'll show that for these three questions. Number 1 doesn't have any brackets, but it's 2 minus 9. So we're going to keep the 2 the same. We're going to change to adding. And the 9, which was a positive 9, is going to become a negative 9. It will become its opposite. Now we have 2 plus negative 9, which means we are going to subtract the integers and keep the sign of the larger number. So we're going to end up with a negative 7. For number 2, I'm going to rewrite it without the brackets, just to show how that would look. So this is negative 3 minus negative 7. I'm going to keep the negative 3 the same, change subtraction to adding, and change the negative 7 to a positive 7. Negative 3 plus positive 7 means I need to subtract. 7 minus 3 is 4. And because that was a positive 7, my result is a positive 4. And you can write this as plus 4, or you can simply write it as 4. Both of those answers are acceptable. For number 3, I'm going to rewrite it without those brackets just to show you the look of it. It's your decision how you like to write these numbers out. But everywhere I see a minus sign, I'm going to change it to adding and change the next door to the opposite. So the 8 stays the same, the subtraction becomes addition, and the negative 9 becomes positive 9. The 4 stays the same, the subtraction becomes addition, and the negative 2 becomes positive 2. And now I can combine my positives with positives and my negatives with negatives. And I can see here that I have positive, 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 positive. I have many positive integers, so I'm going to combine them. 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 9 is 19, plus 4 is 23. So I have a positive 23 plus a negative 6. Again, the signs are different, so I'm going to subtract, keeping the sign of the larger number. 23 minus 6 is 17, and this is going to be a positive 17. If you'd like to continue in the video, I'm going to do some exercise questions, and I'll go through the same change opposite a bit more quickly. So number 1, I have negative 1 minus positive 2. I'm going to change to adding, change to its opposite. Now I have negative 1 plus negative 2. I combine the integers and keep the sign. Number 2, I have subtraction. I'm going to change and make the positive 5 a negative 5, change it to its opposite. Now I have to compare these. 5 minus 3 is 2, and because the 5 is the greater number, it's going to be negative 2. For number 3, I'm going to change the subtraction to addition and change the positive 10 to a negative 10. I have negative 7 plus negative 10. I can combine the integers and keep the sign, negative 17. Number 4, I'm going to change the subtraction to addition, and the negative 8 changes to its opposite. So I'm going to have 12, negative 12 plus positive 8. The signs are different, so I'm going to keep the larger sign, which is negative, and subtract 12 minus 8, which is 4. My answer is negative 4. I'm jumping ahead now in the exercise to question number 21. So we're going to go ahead and try some on this page. Negative 16 minus negative 16, I'm going to add the opposite. This now becomes negative 16 plus positive 16. The result is going to be 0. 16 minus 16 is 0. We have no sign. Number 22, 23 minus negative 35. I'm going to change the subtraction to adding, and the 35 becomes positive. Now I have two integers that are both positive. I can combine 23 plus 35, so I'll be at positive 58. Number 23, we're going to change to the opposite. And now we have two different signed integers, so we're going to subtract, keeping the sign of the larger number. We're going to take 72 minus 29, which will give me a result of 43, and that's going to be a negative 43. Number 24, I'm going to change the subtraction to adding, change the positive 37 to its opposite, negative 37, and I have two negative integers, so I can combine them and keep the sign. 37 plus 5 is 42, and it's going to be a negative 42. When we have more than two integers, we're going to have to do some combining or combinations of positive signs together and negative signs. So let's go ahead to number 26. We're going to change subtraction to adding and change the negative 5 to its opposite. We're going to change this subtraction to adding, and the positive 3 becomes a negative 3. Now we can combine our positive numbers together and then compare with our negative number. We're going to subtract the numbers, the integers, keeping the positive sign. 16 minus 3 is 13, so we'll have a positive 13. Number 27, we change everything to adding and the opposites. Adding and the opposite. And now we look to combine all of our negatives together. 12, 5, and 3 makes 20. That's going to be negative 20. And then we have one positive integer. So negative 20 plus positive 12 means we subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. So we're going to have a negative 8. Number 28, we're going to change to adding, change to the opposite, change to adding, change to its opposite. Let's combine the negatives. Negative 6 plus negative 5 is negative 11. Plus positive 3 means we're going to subtract and keep the negative sign. 11 minus 3 is 8. I hope you found this lesson helpful, and you can give all the other questions a try. Remember, same, change, opposite, and follow your rules for addition for integers.